And we're live. Hey stream, how you all doing? Levels? All sounds good. Alright. Another sunny day. So, plan for today is a bit of news, a bit on Animal Crossing, and probably a bit more Monster Hunter. So, let's start with the news. So I thought I'd change up stuff a little bit because we are doing the news and it is Easter. So, well, it's not Easter yet, but it's the Easter month. Yeah. Let's get started. For today's news for April the 3rd, 2020. We have a few things still today, even though April Fool's is finishing up. We've still got some little details. We have here one piece of news that we were talking about yesterday, how the April Fool's ones can sometimes be either something that's actually in development or something that was axed, and how the DuckTales game that we saw the images for looked a heck of a lot like concept art. And it turns out that's because it was. Apparently it was a failed game pitch that I think, what's the name of the company? FDG Entertainment. They've got a different, they've got like a full name. But yeah, perhaps this game might come back eventually. Especially if they see like a push and people talking about it, but yeah, it was a bit funny having this come out and then it was like, oh, this is actually probably something real. Quickly, a little bit, teeny weeny bit. But yeah, so who knows, some of the others might also have been, but you don't know until later in the year or someone else talks about it. We have some screenshots from Chucklefish's new game. It's called Witchbrook. But it looks like the game is actually changed in art style. I don't know if they got any comparative images in here, but you can see it definitely follows their team's art style. But it's almost has a Ragnarok Online look to it, to be honest. I like it. It's nice and colorful. It's got my favorite seasons, so winter and autumn, and yeah, looks like it's another sort of homey sort of, you do various tasks on a cycle sort of game from what I've seen of it. Yeah. Looks pretty good. I'm interested. Hope to see more in the future. So here's another one. So we were talking about that little teaser we got on April 2nd. It was like, oh, of course they're making note of the fact that it was April 2nd, and we were like, it's probably Rogue Legacy 2, and it turns out it was Rogue Legacy 2. So Rogue Legacy, for people who haven't played it, is a roguelike game, side-scroller action game that every time you die, you pass on traits to your ancestors or your descendants, and so you make a new character every time you die, and they can get some benefits and things from your previous one. And you have this, in the first game, it was a singular castle, kind of Castlevania style. And you had to progress through the areas and defeat bosses, which unlock new areas. It was actually quite a difficult roguelike for me, in my opinion. It was fun, but it was very much your gating of progressing through the game is doing hard progress with some good lineups of your genus being followed on. So let's see if they got anything else. Procedurally generated adventure, we already knew that. So every dungeon was different. Roguelite, so it's the same roguelite. Universal healthcare, every child is unique. So you can get some crazy ones in terms of combinations of passives and things. Castle permanence, it's a roguelike where bosses stay dead. Oh, I don't know if that was actually how it worked in the original game. It might have, I can't remember now. Every class, so there's like, you have different types of classes based on your weapons. So it's like, there was like light, medium, magic, all that sort of stuff. Stack runes, you can now stack runes indefinitely. So runes were, I'm fairly sure they were random pick-uppables that had a timer, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. Has been a long time since I played the first one. But yeah, that's a good time sync game that will be coming out, I think. Do like a good roguelike. A more businessy one. This is interesting and probably a tie-in very much with COVID. Is the fact that Twitch has broken its 3 billion total hours watched in a single quarter, so in the first quarter of the year. That's a lot. This is for a platform that mostly focuses on video games and creative outlets. It's incredible to see those numbers. Yeah. Very likely we will see more. These numbers still go up even further, like especially as more people discover it, more of it becomes normalized. Probably see more and more like people getting sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. There might be more platforms that pop up, like how Mixer did. But yeah, it will hopefully it will be a competitive scene. From the outside in, like Twitch isn't the worst. At times it can be frustrating, but it's definitely not YouTube how it handles some of its things. But yeah, I guess we'll see how this all develops. So this one was not really for me. I'm not really a Last of Us fan or Iron Man fan, but it seems that Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced that there is going to be a mass delay on Last of Us 2 and the Iron Man VR game, and the latter I didn't actually know was in development, but yeah, they released a whole heap of screenshots that went along with this. I haven't got them here, but it's sad to see this happen, but there's probably going to be a lot of major games this year that will be delayed. If they haven't got an announcement date, it's very likely that we won't know that they're being delayed. But yeah, so it's going to be a tough time on the industry. Even though a lot more working from home can happen, there's still a lot of stuff that can't be done, such as like doing render farms or doing very technical, like you need to be in studio to do like sound works, and you need voice actors and all those sorts of things. Like quality can't really take a hit for AAA games, so you probably will see some delays. Yeah. This one was a very interesting one. This is barely an article, but basically Sea of Thieves has announced that it will be coming to Steam. So this is kind of big because there's already been one or two games such as like Sunset Overdrive and things that have come from the Windows and Xbox stores over to Steam. But Sea of Thieves was one that I feel like it just never it never found its place. Like, they did such good work with the game in terms of keep adding content. They like made it so it was an enjoyable experience for a lot of players, but they never seem to have had that real strong numbers that they were sort of aiming for with a game and how much budget they put behind it and things. But I think coming to Steam is a good idea. I think that's the type of game that getting a boost in numbers can make a difference in terms of people's enjoyability just overall. Being able to interact with others or find groups to do things and things like that. It's a very social experience, that game. This was a funny one. We have Square Enix accidentally deletes FF9 on Steam. So it seems that a update came out for Steam's FF9 version. And it seemingly deleted all the files. It didn't corrupt it or anything like that. It went through the process. So obviously an update was pushed, and they were. I don't know if there's a planned another update that was meant to be. There's no patch notes associated with it, but it's seeming that they weren't intending to release a patch, and something got pushed out, and it was an empty set of files, and yeah, that was a bit of a funny one. So for most people, it's probably fine, because all it's going to do is it's not going to remove your save, as far as I know. It just removed the actual install, and you just have to reinstall it again. And FF9 is not exactly the biggest game, but it was just a weird thing to read about. This one is a sort of a personal one. Phil Spencer says that Microsoft is not working on Platinum Games Scalebound's revival. So Microsoft had a few interviews of recent. Sorry, my cat's just come for a visit. Scalebound was a game that was cancelled in development, that was being worked on by Platinum Games. Probably one of my favorite developers active these days. They do amazing work. I think that, I'm playing the Nier OST right now. They did Nier Automata, which was probably their best work. And I'm always excited for new works. But the groundwork for Scalebound was made by Platinum for Microsoft, but for whatever reason it fell through. Could be just a lot of the time there's cases of Japanese companies having issues working with American, very corporate heavy companies. So maybe it was something like that. We'll never know. Might not know for a long time. But it sounded like there is the intention for Platinum Games' works to be put forward for another team to be working on it. Oh, maybe I'm incorrect here. But yeah, for people out there who are kind of thinking there might be something still in the works, there's not. But yeah, so it's actually the opposite of what I just said. Because there were rumors for a bit that there was another team working on it, but this article clarifies that no, there's not going to be any more Scalebound, which is fine. It's a bit sad because that game looked interesting. It was a bit of a strange game coming out from both studios, sort of thing, but it would have been quite fun, I think. Maybe I'll play hang on, we'll play a Platinum Games Scalebound. Let's see if we can find the trailer for it. I'll just play a little bit of it and find a video. This is the actual trailer. I don't really want the trailer, I want gameplay. So yeah, the point of the game was that you had a large dragon and you played it as a character that very much resembled Nero from Devil May Cry. And gameplay. You would alternate between 2015, dang, it's been a while. You would alternate between your dragon and your dragon be in the background doing damage and things like that, but you would be able to give him orders. You would be doing like very RPG style action, commands, combat, all that. See that it was very raw. Like it looked like it had a good amount of polish for just a tech demo showing off, but the game probably when you have scale like this, it can run into some quite some heavy issues in terms of trying to make a scope for it. Yeah, so like a good example here is like you fight big monsters and things like that. You have almost a devil trigger, and then there's like a finisher he does that he just zips over. Back when grappling hooks were hot, like every game coming out had grappling to it. Year of the grapple. So it doesn't have it. There's another trailer. There's another gameplay trailer that was interesting with it. Was it had them fighting a very large monster, I think it was like I don't know if it was a dragon, but it was in a massive cavern. But the gameplay shifted from being that style of third-person action with controlling the dragon to piloting the dragon and almost not say Panzer Dragoon style, but like it was very like free roam shooting and stuff like that. You could get off your dragon and interact as well to attack parts of the bigger monster. So like the plan was it had multiplayer or something of that nature. But yeah, it was a little sad to hear that being cancelled personally, but that's just the way things go sometimes. This one was a weird one to read. So I'm a big One Piece fan. Japan loves One Piece. One Piece is the biggest anime and manga ever. I can't understate that. It is so massive. You can never beat One Piece at this stage. And its games have always sold decently well. But for some reason, and I talking to friends, it's like we kind of maybe think that it might be related to people not going out during COVID or pre-order stuff. But for whatever reason, Pirate Warriors 4 has sold the lowest. And for a game that is probably got the most polish out of not only all Pirate Warrior games, but all Muso games, is pretty disappointing. But unfortunately, that's one of those things with iterative installments, numbered installments. All of the time, you can find if they're not promoting that it's a completely fresh new thing, it will drop in sales. So it could be a combination of things, but yeah. I feel like that game will still sell well as it continues. I mean, it probably will sell well in the West as well. From one manga-based game to another. So, not sure how these came about. If it was just a little direct that they had done this, but it seems like CyberConnect had released early screenshots of the development stage of DBZ's Kakarot. So DBZ Kakarot followed the entire story of Dragon Ball Z again. I've yet to play this game. I really am looking forward to it. Just was waiting for it to come down in price. It actually went on sale recently. So it might be a thing to look into, but it has a very strong anime aesthetic. They did really good on the cell shading in the current one, but it looks like they were going for a different look that was a lot more manga-esque in the original release of the game and in development. So you can see here, like you've got different sort of shading on all the line work. you have like it looks more sketched. It looks a lot more like it has that sort of rougher side to how manga coloring usually is. I know this is early footage, and it was only in development to try and figure out the art style. But it does look a lot like a PS2 game to me. Like, I played almost all the DBZ games over the years, and yeah, it looks rough to me. I don't know how they would have been able to push this beyond a certain point, especially with as the style changes throughout. Like, Dragon Ball's manga actually changes its art style as it progressed, and redrawing all those, it's like how many extra things would they need to have created to keep the feel for each sort of generation of DBZ. But like you can see, like, the rock work and stuff looks nice, the line work and everything. That one's pretty rough, you can't really tell. Same here. But yeah, it's interesting. I'll give us some screenshots in comparison to what Kakarot looks like currently, rather than lives. Because Kakarot's, from footage I've seen, Kakarot looks very, very good. I wouldn't say it necessarily looks as good as Arc System Works' fighting game Dragon Ball FighterZ, but they have a lot more control when making Arc System games because of the 2D plane. Yeah, ironically saying that, you can actually see there's the footage from FighterZ there. Like, there's some frames, like, just in looking at these thumbnails, you can see there's some frames that don't look the greatest for Kakarot. You look at the image. Yeah. Not trying to read the article, just trying to look at the image. You can sort of see the art style. And this is Dragon Ball FighterZ, which some people look at anime games or manga games and probably can't tell the difference, but there's some varying degrees of quality when it goes into these games. And unfortunately, a lot of them get short-stopped. Like, they don't get, like, the funding is not the greatest when it comes to these games. So they can look pretty dang rough. Yeah, so that was just an interesting piece to come across. And I think the last thing I wanted to cover today is someone pointed out to me, I didn't cover it yesterday, but Windbound got announced. So this is a game by Deep Silver. So Deep Silver, known for, like, oh, there's the other here. This is what I'm looking for. So, like, they're the Saints Row team. They're the, like, they're a publisher mostly, but they also do develop some games in-house. But yeah, you can see these are the developer games, and these are the in-house ones. But yeah, it looks like the new project that they've got announced is this game called Windbound, which I wasn't really... The thumbnail didn't capture me, so I didn't click into it, but apparently it shares similar playstyles to Breath of the Wild, which there is one other game that people also compare Breath of the Wild, which I completely repudiate because it's a very different game, and it's either a Taiwanese or a Chinese game, I believe. I don't remember the title of it, but it's... Yeah, I feel like there's that unfortunate thing sometimes with games where people like to jump on the boat of it being the same, but let's have a look-see. Let's see what this is. Music. Instantly, I'm already not a fan of the art aesthetic. Oh, it's Link to the Past. Not Link to the Past, Link's Awakening. Wake up on an island. It's all a dream. Or Path of Exile. Greetings, exile. Kind of has a very Western look to it in terms of its art aesthetic. Looks like quite a few indie games that have come out over the past few years. So far, it just looks like a gathering game. Oh, okay, whoa, that was very Breath of the Wild there. Oh, okay, I can see what people are talking about now. So it almost looks like we're looking at Breath of the Wild meets Wind Waker. Wow, that aesthetic there very much reminds me of not Pillars, Divinity. Alright. Shocked at how, I don't know how there's that few views, and I never understand with some of this stuff with view counts. Like, that surely can't be right. But that looks interesting. Probably not for me, because I've said before, Breath of the Wild wasn't a game that I super duper click with it. I got through it, I enjoyed it, but maybe because of the fact that it was put as a Zelda game and it didn't feel like a Zelda game to me at all, that sort of think I bounced off it. I didn't play any of the DLC. Got through all the dungeons. I did all, like, most of the major content. Some of the side stuff, but yeah. So that game probably wouldn't be for me, but it looked interesting. I'm fairly sure if you're a fan of Breath of the Wild and you're waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever that is, that might tie you over. But yeah. And I think that's all the news I got for today. So I might switch over now to Animal Crossing. I will be back soon.